This video is brought to you by Audible. Get a 30-day free trial, plus 1 free audiobook, and access to some of their Audible originals absolutely free through our link below. The infamous mysteries of the Bermuda Triangle. This place has been famous for centuries, with accounts from Christopher Columbus and supposedly from Shakespeare. If you haven't heard of it already, it's a region also known as the Devil's Triangle, Hurricane Alley, Limbo of the Lost, the Twilight Zone, and Hoodoo Sea. Sounds pretty scary, doesn't it? It's in the western part of the North Atlantic Ocean, where a number of aircraft and ships are said to have disappeared under mysterious circumstances. It's basically a giant triangle between Miami, Bermuda and Puerto Rico, which covers about 500,000 square miles of ocean. Hundreds have disappeared there mysteriously since 1918. Since the term Bermuda Triangle was coined in 1964, there have been a myriad of possible explanations, such as aliens, Atlantis and sea monsters, to time warps and reverse gravity fields, magnetic anomalies, waterspouts, or huge eruptions of methane gas from the ocean floor. Let's explore each one of them, and I'll let you be the judge to see which one seems more plausible. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. Let's first examine the two notoriously famous Bermuda Triangle cases that still baffle the public to this day. Case number 1. The USS Cyclops incident. On March 1918, USS Cyclops, a 542-foot-long Navy cargo ship with over 300 men and 10,000 tons of manganese ore on board, sank somewhere between Barbados and the Chesapeake Bay. They basically went missing without a trace. Navy cruisers searched the ocean, but saw no sign of the ship, not even an oil slick, and the Navy eventually declared the crew lost at sea. What's strange is that although it was capable of sending out an SOS distress call, its remains were nowhere to be found despite an extensive search. In 1941, along the same route, two of the Cyclops' sister ships similarly vanished without a trace. A possible explanation was suggested by a descendant of one of the lost crew members, saying that the combination of unbalanced ship due to very heavy load, engine breakdowns, and a big wave that struck the vessel had sent it to the bottom of the Puerto Rico Trench, which is the deepest part of the Atlantic, which could explain why the ship was never found. Case number 2. The Flight 19 incident. This is arguably the most famous case of all. On December 5, 1945, 14 men took off from a Fort Lauderdale airfield and 5 Navy bombers to practice bombing runs. But the group's leader manning Flight 19 became lost due to a compass malfunctioning. Some say that they aimlessly flew around and eventually ran out of fuel. A rescue plane was launched the same day carrying 13 men, which also disappeared into the abyss. The Navy searched for them for weeks, but couldn't find anything, as if they had flown to Mars. Navy Lieutenant David White later recalled that they simply just vanished. "We had hundreds of planes out looking, and we searched over land and water for days, and nobody ever found the bodies or any debris." A Navy Board of Investigation was also left scratching its head. While it argued that Taylor might have confused the Bahamas for the Florida Keys after his compasses malfunctioned, it could find no clear explanation for why Flight 19 had become so disoriented. Its members eventually attributed the loss to causes or reasons unknown. It's pretty strange to think that all of these professionally trained pilots would go missing without a trace. You'd at least think one of them would survive, float on the water, or call in for help. It's a mystery why none of the members of Flight 19 made use of the rescue radio frequency or their plane's ZBX receivers, which could have helped lead them toward Navy radio towers on land. The pilots were told to switch the devices on, but they either didn't hear the message or didn't acknowledge it. Next, let's now explore both the practical theories and conspiracy theories that can shed light on what happened to them. Number 1. The Wormhole Theory. Many sci-fi enthusiasts have postulated that many lost ships and planes aren't found because they've traveled through a wormhole, which is a tunnel that connects two ends at separate points in spacetime, which is hypothesized based on Einstein's equations. Number 2. Atlantis. One explanation pins the blame on leftover technology from the mythical lost continent of Atlantis. Some believe that energy crystals used to generate power for the ancient civilization are so powerful they sink vessels. This technology, some say, might interfere with the instrumentation on modern ships and planes, causing them to sink and crash. Yet there seems to be no evidence for it, except the incredible claim of a discovery made by Dr. A. Brown in 1970, while scuba diving near the Berry Islands in the Bahamas. Brown says that he came upon a pyramid-like structure with a smooth mirror-like stone finish. Swimming inside, he found the interior to be completely free of coral and algae, and was illuminated by some unknown light source. In the center was a sculpture of human hands holding a 4-inch crystal sphere, above which was suspended a red gem at the end of a brass rod. Number 3. Hurricanes and water tornadoes. You'd think the most obvious cause would be hurricanes and tornadoes. The majority of Atlantic tropical storms and hurricanes pass through the Bermuda Triangle, and in the days prior to improved weather forecasting, these dangerous storms claimed many ships. Water tornadoes, also known as waterspouts, form when a tornado sucks the water and throws it hundreds or thousands of feet into the air. When you factor in waterspouts and giant, quickly forming waves, and factoring in hurricanes, you basically have quite a bit of risk factors that can cause disasters for sailors and pilots. Number 4. Toxic methane gas. Laboratory experiments carried out in Australia have proven that bubbles can, indeed, sink a scale model ship by decreasing the density of the water. This could potentially happen rapidly, in just mere seconds, which wouldn't allow those on board time to radio for help or abandon ship. It's been hypothesized that periodic methane eruptions, sometimes called mud volcanoes, may produce regions of frothy water that are no longer capable of providing adequate buoyancy for ships. But what's interesting is that the United States Geological Survey has claimed that no large releases of gas hydrates are believed to have occurred in the Bermuda Triangle for the past 15,000 years. Number 5. Air bombs. Satellite images have shown peculiar hexagonal honeycomb clouds over the region. Similar cloud formations in the North Sea near the UK have been associated with so-called air bombs, which are powerful downdrafts of air that could overpower and destroy ships and airplanes. According to Randy Cerveny, a meteorologist at Arizona State University, the cloud formations in the North Sea are supposedly signatures of rapid microbursts, consisting of downward-moving air that can generate sea surface winds reaching nearly 100 miles per hour, and ocean waves towering more than 40 feet high, which could certainly wipe out a vessel in no time. But there's no evidence to suggest that the same air bomb phenomenon is occurring in the Atlantic Ocean. Meteorologist Kevin Corriveau says that the weather patterns in the two areas were too different to allow comparisons between similar cloud shapes. So the verdict is still out on this one. Number 6. Magnetic phenomena. In the Bermuda Triangle, magnetic compass sometimes points towards true north, as opposed to magnetic north. The National Geographic has reported that even Christopher Columbus wrote about this. Theorists believe this explains how so many ships and planes have disappeared. In response to this, U.S. Navy claims that although in the past, this compass variation did affect the Bermuda Triangle region because of fluctuations in the Earth's magnetic field. But this has apparently not been the case since the 19th century. Number 7. Electronic fog. Bruce Jernan, a certified flight instructor and a pilot who has flown extensively in the Caribbean and survived a Bermuda Triangle incident, describes how a cloud of fog was flying with him in 1970 when he was flying with his father. These are called electronic fogs, which are bizarre storm clouds caused by thunderclouds and highly volatile solar winds. Bruce's groundbreaking theory, based upon first-hand experience, details a rare natural phenomenon that may be behind many of the seemingly paranormal happenings in the Bermuda Triangle, causing time distortion, pilot disorientation, and equipment malfunctions. This greyish cloud of electromagnetic fields that form above the ocean can supposedly appear out of nowhere and completely engulf a ship or an aircraft. Once you're in it, it's been said that all electronic systems and equipment start malfunctioning. To add credibility to this theory, some of the real source calls quoting the strange fog actually came from veteran and experienced pilots or coast guards. In another electronic fog incident, an experienced pilot, Jensen, reported that he was lost in a cloud only 150 feet above the ground, and no one can explain why a cloud had formed at such low altitude. His voice was heard again after 11 hours, about 600 miles away from where he was lost earlier. This doesn't make sense because he would have run out of fuel by then. He then vanished without a trace. Number 8. The Hutchinson effect. In 1979, a Canadian scientist, John Hutchinson, showed that strange things can happen through the intermingling of electromagnetic fields of different wavelengths, which can supposedly cause water in a cup to start swirling, or objects like wood or metal to start rising from the floor and float around, or things to shoot off at an astonishing speed. He also observed strange formation of opaque metallic fog while doing his high-voltage research, and has quoted that it is highly probable that nature can form these fields on her own and create the right situation for the ship or aircraft to either totally disintegrate or disappear into another dimension or domain. Number 9. Extraterrestrials. This is a favorite theory of mine, even though it's probably unlikely that this is the case. Surprisingly, one of the earlier accounts of a possible Bermuda UFO encounter deals with Christopher Columbus, who, on his first voyage to the New World in 1492, apparently saw a great flame of fire that crashed down to the ocean from the sky. The next night, he saw a strange light appearing in the distance. I guess we don't know for sure if this was an UFO sighting, which could have been some kind of a meteor, but it could have very well been a UFO. Some say that there's an underwater alien base at the triangle. The late conspiracy theorist Charles Berlitz wrote in his book, The Bermuda Triangle, aliens could be responsible for the disappearance of Flight 19. Number 10. A more realistic theory. More realistic claims suggest that since the Bermuda Triangle covers a vast area of 270,000 square miles, that's particularly busy due to it being near a wealthy part of the world, which means there's a lot of traffic, things are bound to happen. According to Lloyd's of London and the US Coast Guard, the number that go missing in the Bermuda Triangle is supposedly the same as anywhere in the world on a percentage basis. However, experts like John Quasar contends that the place is an enigma, because planes and ships vanish more frequently with circumstances that make it impossible for them to disappear. Well, there you have it. We can't obviously know for sure what happened to the missing pilots and sailors, but these theories can surely guide us to get a glimpse of the mysterious incidents that go on at the Bermuda Triangle. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Be sure to sign up for a free trial of Audible through my link below to get your free audiobook and support my channel. Until next time, keep being mesmerized by the wonders of the galaxy.